Hello guys, welcome back. With the end of the year quickly approaching, I wanted to look back on some of the books I've read. I think I've read 45 books this year so far, and we still have a bit of December left, so I think I can squeeze a few more in. But I thought it would be fun to do a book tag, kind of like an end of year wrap up. So I've got my laptop and I have a bunch of questions that I'm going to answer based off of the books that I've read this year. So let's get right into it. The very first question is, what is a book with an unexpected plot twist? For this one, I'm going to have to go with Green Glass House by Kate Milford. The plot twist in this was so well done. I really did not see it coming at all. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend. It's like one of the best children's books that I've read in a long time, so just go read it. The second question is Underdog Book of the Year. For this one, I'm going to choose The Forest King's Daughter by Ellie Blake. This book was so whimsical and just so fun to read. It was like nothing I'd ever read before, and it was so refreshing. I never hear people talk about it, and it deserves so much more hype, in my opinion. Along that same line, next is a book that was overhyped. And for me, that was definitely Silver Elite by Dani Francis. I had heard so many people rave about how amazing this book was and how it was like the best book of the year. And it didn't do it for me. I didn't really like it that much. I didn't like the characters. I thought the plot was okay, but nothing very special in my opinion. So yeah, I think this book was quite overhyped. Next, we have favorite book couples of the year. My first favorite book couple is Gideon and Rune from Heartless Hunter. I just found their dynamic so entertaining, especially with the whole like cat and mouse game that they played. My second favorite book couple is Emily and Wendell from Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia Fairies. They are just so hilarious together, and I think it's mainly their dynamic with Wendell totally being like obsessed and infatuated with Emily, and Emily just having no clue and finding him really annoying and obnoxious. So those are my favorite book couples from this year. Next question is favorite adaptation of the year. And for this, I'm going to go with A Series of Unfortunate Events. I have been watching this on Netflix recently and absolutely loving it. I will admit I haven't watched very many book to movie adaptations this year, but if you haven't seen A Series of Unfortunate Events on Netflix, I just feel like they did such a good job with it. So definitely check it out if you have Netflix. Up next is favorite main character of the year. And for this, I had a hard time picking because I have a lot of favorites and I've read a lot of books. But I chose James from Watch Me by Tahereh Mafi. First off, I thought he was so funny, definitely influenced by Kenji from the Shatter Me series. And I also just feel like because he was like young, he was like 10 years old in Shatter Me, and then you get to see him like 10 years later or 8 years later. I'm not sure how long the time period is. You just feel like you've kind of like seen him grow up. And yeah, he was just one of my favorites to read about. Next up is a book that surprised you. And for this, I picked Warrior Princess Assassin by Brigid Kemmerer. And I don't want to say too much about it if you're planning on reading it, but there was definitely a dynamic with some of the characters that really surprised me. That's all I'm going to say about it. Next question is new favorite author you discovered in 2025. That's going to have to be Chloe Walsh for me. She wrote the Binding 13 series, The Boys of Tommen? Yeah, Boys of Tommen. And this has been out for a few years, I think. I read them, and this book, this series in general, just like ripped my heart out in the best way possible. And I just binged through her books, and now I will read anything that Chloe Walsh writes. Next is happiest book that you read. This was hard to pick because I've read a lot of fantasy this year, and usually fantasy is not like the happiest genre. Usually there's like a lot of war and desperation and things just are not going well. So I ended up picking a children's book called Heartwood Hotel by Callie George. I mentioned these books previously in a different vlog, and yeah, they're just so cozy. So when I read happiest book, this is what I thought of. The next one is most frustrating book you read in 2025. I'm gonna say Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves. Please don't come for me. I really wanted to love these books because I really loved Mary E. Pearson's series that takes place in the same universe. What is it called? The Kiss of Deception. I did read this one. Okay, and then you can see that I still have a bookmark at the beginning of Vow of Thieves. And I just didn't love it as much as I felt like everyone else did. That's okay, but I was really hoping to love these books, and it was kind of frustrating when I didn't. Next is longest book you've read this year. I read Christine by Stephen King, and I think I remember it being like 700 or 800 pages. But yeah, that's the longest book that I read. Next question is favorite covers of the year. Two of my favorites are definitely Watch Me. It's just beautiful. And not only the cover, but just the whole thing. It's beautiful. The second book I'm going to pick for best cover is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. We shouldn't be surprised at this point. I just love these books. I don't know, just like the color scheme, the mushrooms, it just is so whimsical, and whoever designed this cover did a great job. Next up is a book you haven't stopped thinking about. This one, Heartless Hunter. Okay, so here's the thing. I just personally haven't felt like there are many fantasy duologies that I've really loved. For me, it either feels like the story is too short and they tried to lengthen it into 2 books, or there's just too much that they tried to cram into 2 books instead of doing like a multi-book series. But for Heartless Hunter, that was not the case. It felt like perfectly paced, it felt wrapped up nicely, and I just think about it. I think about this book all the time. Next question is cringiest book you read this year. And for this, I'm gonna have to pick The Perfect Escape by Suzanne Park. I did finish reading this book. I listened to the audiobook, and it was pretty short, but it was just very cringy in my opinion. And there were just things that I couldn't believe. I couldn't like force myself to believe that these things were happening to the characters. So that's going to be my cringiest book this year. Next question is unpopular book that you loved. For this, I chose Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. I do know a lot of people love this book, but it seems like you either love it or you hate it. So I loved it, and it could be considered unpopular to some people. Next is a book you read that you would reread. And for that, I would reread Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. I think I read it in like 2 days. And because of that, I feel like I need to go back and reread it before the next one in the series comes out, because I read it so quickly. And yeah, I need to reread it before the next one comes out. Up next is a reading goal reflection, as well as 2026 reading goals. So this year I did not set a specific reading goal, like a number of books that I wanted to read. And I do feel like I read faster that way because I don't kind of get stuck in the sink loss fallacy where I start a book and maybe I'm halfway through it, but just dragging myself to finish it. This year I really was like, if I'm not enjoying it, I don't need to keep reading it. And I want to take that into 2026 as well, and I'm not going to have a number of books that I need to read for a reading goal. I just want to enjoy reading because it's my hobby and it's something that I do for fun and not something that I want to put a lot of pressure on myself to read a certain number of books. So I think I'm going to keep my goal pretty similar, not have a set number of books to read, and then also just not forcing myself to read books that I'm not enjoying. All right, that is all of the bookish questions, the books I've been reading this year. That is definitely not all of the books I've read this year. That's just a couple of them. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys again very soon.